here today as both of us as professors in energy justice and social contract. So, what is the Energy Justice and Social Contract project about? It's a 5-year project. It is at the University of Po. But our aim very much is to look and solve and try and contribute to solving the key issues of environmental degradation, economic governance, and climate change. And those issues that are caused, let's say, in part by the energy sector, and that's what we're trying to do in terms of energy justice, contribute to a fair, just, equitable, inclusive, and sustainable world. And we take very much a law approach, but also a interdisciplinary approach. We just wanted to highlight that and say, do come and engage with us on grants, research exchanges, and also articles. We'd be happy to hear from you. And just to say that we also, if you have maybe people that you know of, or maybe yourself, we will have around 5 positions open later this year in September. So if you do plan on coming to the beautiful French Southwest.
The aim of this share is to link 2 things, the energy justice concept and the social contract one, in order to work, in order to implement justice in concrete legal mechanism.
We just want to say a few words. I think something we're maybe all familiar with is a definition of justice, and some people, let's say, they may want to keep debating the definition of justice so that they can delay potential climate action. But for us, simply, we want to think of justice as a journey. For all of us, it should be seen as part of a journey. But justice is also an experience, and all of us can relate to the different experiences that are happening today. Thinking about the switch to new clean technology, thinking about addressing inequality, and also thinking about the impacts of climate change. So we are all familiar with those. We all can understand that justice in some form needs to happen. But for us specifically, when we think of energy, we're thinking of the different stages of the energy life cycle, and we're thinking of energy justice quite simply being the protection of human rights across these 5 stages. And that's what we are aiming to achieve. And you will see us mention distributive, procedural, restorative, recognition, and cosmopolitan. And that lends itself into the link with the social contract, where essentially we're trying to implement energy justice, those principles, into the policy arena, into law, into regulation, and that's the aim.
I'm going to speak to you on a journey. When we talk about applying a justice and equity framework, it means when you do the research and you gather the data, you present your findings, you publish them, having the facts has never been enough to get change as it relates to transforming change in our society. We must marry facts with action. What you do with your research, and who owns it, and how can they use it. Environmental justice, what is it? The principle of environmental justice. Environmental justice embraces the principle that all people and communities are entitled to equal protection of environmental, energy, health, employment, education, housing, transportation, and civil rights law. So, environmental justice is basically the quest for human rights, civil rights, and the right to a clean and healthy environment. This also means protecting non-human species and not allowing our actions as humans to degrade our Mother Earth. So building a just and sustainable communities means having environmental justice, economic justice, energy justice, food and water justice, health justice, and yes, in the United States, racial justice and gender justice. When we talk about these issues, we are building a model that will not exclude organizations, institutions, and movements that we see connected. I tell my students, if I ask them, are you an environmentalist? When I used to teach at UCLA, I had 50 students in the class and I have 3 black students in there. Almost all the students would raise their hand because it's California and it's UCLA. I asked the same question to my students at Texas Southern, and we are a historically black university, and it might be 50 students in the class, and it might be 5 Hispanics and 2 whites. Raise your hand. And I don't get the same response. Then I said, let me rephrase the question. Because UCLA people, they are responding to environmentalists and environmentalism. I reframed the question. I said to my mostly black students, how many of you breathe air? How many of you drink water? How many of you eat food? And I said, how many of you are concerned about what's in your water, what's in your air, what's in your food? And the hands go up, hand go up. I said, you are an environmentalist, you just don't know it. The fact that I had to rephrase the question meaning that you're concerned about the air, water, and food, and what's in your neighborhood. You may not call yourself an environmentalist, and you don't have to do that. You don't have to call yourself that. But I say you have to commit to work on issues of your survivability, of the survivability of humanity. And if you're concerned about that, then you are an environmental justice and climate justice, energy justice individual, and we can work with you. Understand, you don't have to go with labels or definitions, as long as you understand what it means and what you're working for. We are bending the universe, we are bending our arc toward justice when we are talking about bringing all these pieces together: energy, climate, economic, environmental, health, bringing them toward justice. We will get there. And with young people, intergenerational mobilization, with education at the center, and having research to action, we'll get there. I tell people I'm a boomer, proud of it. Still standing, still fighting. But millennials, Zoomers, Gen Xers, and younger, you outnumber our generation. This quest for justice is a race, but it's no sprint. It's more like a marathon relay. I know that's one such race. I used to run, 100 out there. You run your 26.2 miles, and then you pass the baton to the next generation to run that 26.2. Hopefully it won't take 40 years. We don't have 40 years. Climate is on us right now. But we're going to get there. Thank you very much.
I'm interested in what you said at the beginning of your presentation about it's not just about facts, it's about action and empowering locals. So the question really is, from your methodology, the arc that you've been on, right? How did you do it? Or how are we doing it? How to sustain it? And how to follow through? You get the policies and the executive orders written, but how do you empower the people who are affected by these policies to be able to hold the politicians to account regularly on an ongoing basis? Related to that, which might be a good final question, is as you know, you've been an educator for so long, who are you going to hand the baton to?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the long and short is that your questions are all connected. I've been doing this a long time, and I remember when there was just myself and my wife doing this. But then I remember I had 10 students. And then I remember that students, now I have students who do this. So you pass the torch, and you stay engaged. I don't know if you remember, you ever seen the Godfather movie? Remember Godfather, and this guy came to my Godfather, I need a favor, and I need you to do this, and the Godfather told me, he said, yes, I will do this for you, but at one point, I may call you. You know what I'm saying? So my students, we have students, there's a lot of us out there now doing this work, and you keep it going. You pass it forward. What has sustained me is young people who are energetic, because I remember myself when I came out of the 60s and we were fearless. We're not afraid to get arrested. My mom said, don't you get arrested. Don't you get expelled. But understanding that there are things that you have to do in terms of your generation. The climate issue today, an environmental issue, an injustice issue, for young people, this is their civil rights of the 60s, and they are fearless. They're doing a hell of a lot. When we get that combined with my generation and other generations, multi-generational, we can change the world. I do believe that. How do we translate the policy, the dollars on the ground and hold officials accountable? We have mechanisms that we have developed now, like on Justice 40, a roadmap to Justice 40. We have resources that have been given to us without even writing a grant. We get calls and we're going to give you $5 million, we're going to give you $6 million. So we have resources to deploy and pass-through dollars, re-grant, they call it re-grant, pass-through dollars to get to community-based organizations, nonprofits, and we have our centers do workshops to assist and support in building our capacity. And they can take those dollars, $100,000, maybe more in some cases, depending on the capacity of the organization, to concentrate on getting their priorities and mapping, and our center has helped map communities. We have 22 organizations in 10 states that our Justice 40 initiative is working in. From Seattle, LA, Detroit, Pennsylvania, and coming Philadelphia, and coming all the way down south, working with organizations that we have good relationship with and they trust us. And we have partnership. We have a memorandum of understanding what we can do. It's like a contract. This is what we do, and this is what you're going to do in this process. And we have timetables as to how we're going to get there and what they need to submit to us and what we submit to them, reporting. And we have a funding tracker that identifies and matches up their priorities. Now, priorities come from the communities, and they have meetings and they decide what it is, whether it's flooding or infrastructure or schools or whatever it is. And then we match up the Justice 40 benefits, inflation reduction, bipartisan infrastructure law, where the pots of monies are located, and we assist and support in that matching, and we provide grant writers to assist them. Now, this is the organization. In cases where there are grants available for community and government partnerships, like the community organization, nonprofit, partner with the city, and they want to do a project like that, and they have grants for that. City may not have grant writers. We can assist and support in doing those partnerships. And we have evaluators that can monitor wherever these projects go in, and we can put them on a map. And now with, you can track all this stuff in terms of our 22 organizations in our 10 states. Now we have it down, and there are other groups doing this. There's a part of our consortium, our HBCU Climate Change Consortium. We started with 5 organizations, 5 schools in 2013. Now we're up to 35 schools. These are all HBCUs located in 19 states. And what we have, when the EPA put out this Thrive Community Technical Assistance Centers, our consortium got one, $15 million to do with in our consortium. There's a grant that's due on the 30th, and my folks are busy working on that. It's an EPA grant, a Thrive Community Grant Making Program, where they're going to give $550 million call for proposals, and they're going to give 10 grants, and each one of those grants is going to be $50 million. So we're applying for a $50 million grant, and to become the grant maker to give out the grants to our region 6 EPA. So what it means that if we become a grant maker, we design the the application, streamline it, make it simple. We have a panel to evaluate that we design, develop, and we become sending dollars to communities that are getting proposed. The government is doing that because they don't have, EPA doesn't have enough staff to get this money out because Donald Trump gutted the EPA. It was 20,000 people when Obama left office. Now it's down to like 12,500, something like that. That's how we're going to do it, and we have a system in place, and we have resources, and we have to provide staff for our organizations on the ground. We've never had this before, and it's a lot of work. But if it was easy, you'd have more people doing it. We have to step up and step it up. Yes, we're going to do that. Thank you very much.
What will be your top 3 tips for standing out from the noise? So let's say that noise created by, let's say, fossil fuel, anti-climate change, climate delayers, etc. What are your top 3 tips for us?
Well, I think you have to discern the noise and separate what's real and what's just smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of propaganda out there, misinformation, and there are some places that universities that have good programs, and then there are some programs that neutralize a good program. Tulane has a very good School of Public Health, but some of that stuff that they got on the University of Houston, same way, Rice University. So you have to understand, select and find those programs within places that you can say you're comfortable doing the work with. And in terms of whether or not there are challenges that you'll face when you put justice after energy, and there will be challenges. When they say, well, energy should be about energy, why are you putting this social stuff in it? Well, you just have to explain. Sometimes you have to explain stuff over and over and over again. The other thing is for young people starting out, or anybody starting out in this area, you have to be, you have to understand that it's tough out there. It's tough out here. You can't be thin-skinned. You don't have to be a warrior like me, but you do have to understand that you will get pushback, and you will get there will be incentives that will be offered to move you off the path of justice. Incentives, that's a nice way of putting it. You get big offers, and some of those offers oftentimes it's hard to refuse, but if you want to do the justice work, you just stay focused, and in the end, you can see results that, it's just, it's joyful. When you see things happening and you get excited and you want to run it extra 26.2. I say stay focused and enjoy your victories. We've had it, but don't celebrate too long because some of these things are like zombies that keep coming back, reincarnated with names different. Same thing, I'm telling you. We have fought off, for most of the plastics in the 90s, and they coming back, in the 2020s. Not in St. John's Parish, but in St. James Parish. Same thing about it, it's 2 black areas in Cancer Island. Stay focused and stay on the watch. Thank you.